Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's sports podcast. It's Friday, the 3rd of December 2021. I hope you're all well. I had my booster jab yesterday afternoon. My arm's a bit sore, but other than that, I'm pleased to report I think I'm okay, so that's all good. Hopefully, this horrible weather we've had last week, really chilly, is going to ease off as well now. Thankfully, the snow's gone and Storm Arwen's buggered off as well, so hopefully things will settle down in time for Christmas. We know how to go out and enjoy ourselves. So now let's get on with what's been going on in the world of sport in the last week or so. And obviously, the main thing that's been happening last week has been the two rounds of Premier League games, which has seen not really much change, to be honest with you. But the top three teams, Chelsea, Man City, and Liverpool, are all pulling away from the rest of the teams now. At the bottom, there's not really been much change. Norwich's results have certainly picked up since Dean Smith's appointment, and Villa's results have certainly picked up under Steven Gerrard so far, although having lost the last game, it was against Manchester City. They didn't do too badly, losing 2-1, but they've won the two previous games, so they're up to 13th at the moment. Leeds had a welcome win as well, but we'll go on to those in a moment. But like I say, the teams at the top, Chelsea, we've got 33 now. They've had a win and a draw in the last two matches. Man City, 2 wins, and Liverpool 2 wins, including a very emphatic destruction of Everton in the Merseyside derby 4-1 at Goodison on Wednesday evening, which I watched. West Ham have tailed off, beating 4th in 24. Arsenal on 23. Tottenham 22 and Man United now 21. I watched their game last night against Arsenal. Bizarre goal, which had to be allowed by the referee. I think the referee got some stick from the crowd, which is sort of understandable because they probably don't understand the rules. But it was quite clear at the time that it had to be a goal because the ball across the line, he hadn't blown his whistle. De Gea were lying on the floor injured. It's unfortunate. Whether or not Arsenal should have allowed Manchester United to score an uncontested equaliser, I'm not sure whether that, because it was a slightly different scenario to anything that's ever gone before it. So, as it turned out, United won 3-2. Ronaldo basically saw them over the line. I've got to say, Fred had some good moments. He had some bad moments, well, like he always does, but he had quite a good game as well. I don't really like him, but I've got to say he did play well last night at times. Arsenal were silly, really. The penalty they gave away by Odegaard, he scored a great goal. Good finish, just like the one that Ronaldo had scored for Manchester United previous to that a couple of minutes earlier. But then he gave away a stupid penalty with a silly tackle we didn't even need to make, and basically it cost them the game. If you tie it in with like the chance that Aubameyang had as well, probably to equalise it or even give out Arsenal a win. But you know, they're getting better, but they're not as good as they should be really at Arsenal. So that's why. But they're fifth though, so you can't complain. Like I say, Tottenham are up to 6th after a 2-0 win against Brentford last night. So it's tight at the top between Chelsea, Man City, and Liverpool, and there's plenty of things to look forward to this weekend as well. The big game tomorrow is West Ham at home to Chelsea. That's the BT Sport game, 12:30 kick-off tomorrow. And then the tea time game is Watford Man City. Watford have done all right actually. They pushed Chelsea quite hard the other evening. They lost 2-1 at home at Vicarage Road, but to lose like Villa lost to Man City, Watford only lost 2-1 to at home to Chelsea. So that's a good result in some ways. And then on Sunday we've got the Villa against Leicester, which could be an intriguing game. I'm hoping Villa will get something out of that, but they always seem to struggle against Leicester. And Monday night we've got Arsenal away to Everton, and that's the last TV games. Those last three games are all on Sky, by the way. So if you've got access to either of those platforms, they're the games you're going to be able to watch this weekend, and they're the main games really. So we're looking back now at the results from the last two games, and the highlights that I haven't already mentioned, really, there weren't really many highlights in the midweek games, apart from I've already mentioned Liverpool and the Villa game, and the Man United game, so they were probably the most important. I watched the Leeds Crystal Palace game. Leeds won. It was a vital win for Leeds. They didn't really deserve to win, to be honest with you. But Palace, again, stupid, give away a goal in the 94th minute. The defender put his hand out behind Cooper's head, and it just hit it, and when it went to VAR, obviously a penalty, just like they won in the Man United game last night. On the previous round of games, Chelsea and Man United drew 1-1. Man United probably they were clever in a way with Man United in that game. Sort of tried to suss Chelsea out and held it to 0-0 and sneaked a lead when there was a mistake by Jorginho, which he rectified with a penalty, which was a penalty, and it finished 1-1. So there wasn't a lot. It was quite nip and tuck really. I think Chelsea will probably feel they should have brought Lukaku on earlier if they wanted to win the game, but in hindsight, it's easy to say that now. In that round of games also last weekend, Man City beat West Ham 2-1, so that's why they kept their run up, and Liverpool beat Southampton 4-0, so they've smashed 8 goals in the last 2 games against 1. So Like I say, down at the bottom of the table, Newcastle are still struggling a bit. I think it's going to be all about January with Newcastle. If they can get the players in to improve them in January, it gives them a chance of staying up. But they could be the richest club in the world in the Championship as the way it stands at the moment. So, like I say, Norwich have improved recently, but how long Dean Smith will be able to keep that going, I'm not sure, because the quality of the players they've got isn't that great, to be truthful. So I think that's why that's where they are in the league, isn't it? That's why they're there, where they are in the league. So that's what's going on in the Premier League anyway over the last couple of rounds. What's coming up this week, and then obviously the Champions League returns again next weekend for the last round of games. The English teams are all through from Brighton, more or less all through, so there's not really much point in going through those at this stage. And I'll report on the results of those and the Europa League games, where obviously Leicester have got an important match in their group. They need to get something, either get in their game away in Napoli, or they're going to possibly be out. They could even win the group. It could go anywhere with that group, so that's the one that's the tightest. Rangers are already through, Celtic are already out, and West Ham have already won their group. So it's just the Leicester game really in that thing. And then Tottenham could go everywhere in the Conference League, but I'm not sure how seriously they've taken the Conference League. I think they thought it was going to be easy, and it's not been quite as easy as they thought it was going to be. So that's the way it is sometimes. So that's what's going on in those areas. With regards to FC Halifax Town, they had a good result last Saturday. They almost threw it away at the end. They were 3-0 up going into the 90th minute, conceding 2 goals. And they were hanging on maybe a little bit, but they managed to see it out, and they remain third in the table at the moment. We see a break from the league action this weekend for Halifax. They are in FA Cup action on Sunday at 4 o'clock away to Kidderminster. And I believe the club announced the other day that they sold almost 700 tickets, and there were still some seats left on the coach. So if you've got a ticket and you haven't arranged your travel for that yet, get in touch with a club to arrange your seat on the coach if you wish to do so. Make sure you can get there. Yeah, it's an important game. Kidderminster will be up for it, I'm sure. They're doing well there, 3rd or 4th, I think, in the Conference North with games in hand. It'll take them nearer to the top. But Town are doing well. They'll be confident with the style that they play at the moment. They can beat anyone, I think, really. Jordan Slew's having a really good run at the moment. He scored 2 good goals, including there were a nice bit of skill where he nutmegged one of the Torquay players in the build-up to one of the goals on Saturday. Billy Waters continued his run. He's in double figures now for his goals, so they're both doing well up front. We've got a nice all-round team, really. We've got some good players all the way throughout the squad. Matt Stenson is on his comeback trail as well. He's been loaned out to Tamworth for a month, and he scored on his debut the other night. So that's a good sign, having scored a hat-trick in a previous friendly game against Ulster. So it's all looking good at the moment. Fingers crossed they won't lose any players in January. Pete Wilder stated that he doesn't expect to see any players leave in January. There was talk about Tom Bradbury going to play in League One for either Burton, I think it was. I can't remember the team was, but one of them was I think it was Plymouth, actually. That was going back a few weeks, but nothing's been mentioned about that since then. So, and Wilde himself didn't go to Hartlepool. He was made the favourite by the bookies at one point, but Hartlepool have now announced their former defender Graham Lee as the new manager. So Wilde will be staying at the Shea as he's promised to see through the job that he feels he's already started. So a lot of positive news for FC Halifax Town there, and let's hope the season continues to go in that vein as we approach Christmas. The next home game in the league is Tuesday the 14th of December, which is the rearranged Kings Lynn game, which would have been played tomorrow if it hadn't been for the FA Cup match. So there you are, that brings you up to date with FC Halifax Town. One other thing I forgot to mention there, FA Trophy, we'll be playing away to Bradford Park Avenue on Saturday the 18th of December. That's a great draw. I wonder if the game might be all ticket. We'll take a lot of fans to that. I might even go myself to that one. I haven't been to an away game for absolutely ages, but it's local, it's a ground I know well, and I think if we could have a Christmas party that day, couldn't we? Just don't want to lose, but I'd like to think they'll want to win that game because it's a local derby as well. So that's a really good draw for us. And the other thing I haven't mentioned is the Grimsby game on Boxing Day is now all ticket. It's caused a bit of controversy with regards to the allowance of how many tickets to Grimsby. I think they've been allowed 1,200 online. Whether you can buy tickets online. There's been a few comments about that, and I haven't seen whether the club have addressed it yet or not, but it's an issue. It's a concern to some of our fans, but I'll keep you posted on that when I have more details, hopefully in next week's podcast, if there are any more details. Okay, moving on from football now, and we're going to talk about cricket, and the Ashes get underway next week. I think it's Tuesday evening our time, Wednesday in Australia. The first test match starts, and that is at Brisbane, I believe. So we're looking forward to a good battle between the old enemies, and England. I don't know how they'll feel about this, but it's difficult to know how Ben Stokes is going to come back after all this time out. But hopefully He'll be able to perform something like the level you'd expect from him. The warm-up games haven't gone well for England in the fact that they haven't been able to play any because it's rained all the time. I think they've managed about one day. They've managed a full day in the 2 matches they're supposed to have played so far. There have been changes to the Australia squad. Trouble and controversy about Tim Payne. I don't think he's not even in the squad. I was looking through the squad for the first test now. We've brought Alex Carey in as a wicket-keeper. He's likely to play, I think it's his first test actually. He's played a lot of one-day games, but he's never played in the test side. So he's going to make his debut, but he's been left out as Payne altogether after the controversy of his text to a colleague about 4 years ago. Whether you agreed or not, but it's not really something that should be brought up now. A lot of things keep getting brought up from the past, but I don't want to go down the political route because it just causes trouble. So the England squad: Dawid Malan, Hasib Ahmed, Joe Root, Ollie Pope, Rory Burns, Zach Crawley, Ben Stokes, Chris Wokes, Dan Lawrence, Ollie Robinson, Johnny Bairstow, Joss Butler, Craig Overton, Don Bess, Jack Leach, James Anderson, Mark Wood, Stuart Broad. Lots of experience and quality players there, so I think we'll compete with the Australians. The win probability on Google saying Australia 44, draw 35, England 21, but I think that's just for the first test actually. In fact, it is. So, but we're not going to know what's going to happen until we get underway. And hopefully the weather will be better for this first test match because it's not been good for England so far out there. And obviously there's been issues about whether the families have been able to go, they'll stay with them, what Omicron's going to do. But at the moment everything stays as it was, and the families are with the players. So that's good news. It'll boost the confidence of the players, and the morale will be higher. So that's where we are with Australia in the test matches. And moving on now, we're going to talk about Speedway. Now the season's over, but most of the teams have announced in the top league have announced their teams for next season in the last 7 to 10 days. Bellevue haven't announced anything at all so far. The rumour is that they'll be having Max Frick and Todd Kurtz at the top end of the team, possibly James Wright, and likely to have Tom Brennan back, but I'm not sure about the rest of the team. Nothing announced there. Wolves have announced that they've signed Ryan Douglas in the last day or so, and they signed Drew Kemp earlier in the week, and they'd already announced Leon Flint, so they've got 3 riders. But the other 4 teams have all announced their full 7s, so I'm going to go through them with you now. Ipswich's team are spearheaded by the return of Jason Doyle to British Speedway. Paul Stark, Anders Rowe, Cameron Heaps, Danny King's back for another season. Troy Batchelor snapped up, is leaving Sheffield to go to Ipswich, and Eric Riss. They've also announced Danny and Hume will be their number 8. A lot of people thought he might be at Sheffield, but he's not, and I'll come on to Sheffield in a moment. Kings Lynn's team is Thomas Jorgensen, Richard Lawson, Louis Kerr. Peter Kilderman making a return to British racing. Richie Worrell joins from Bellevue. Josh Pickering joins from Sheffield. Jack Thomas, who had some good rave reviews last year in the Championship, he's joined as well. And the number 8 will be Jake Mulford. I don't really know much about Jake Mulford. I'm not sure if I've seen Jack Thomas ride, but I may have done. But he's had lots of good reviews in the last 12 months or so, so he's a promising talent coming up. Josh Pickering, thought he might have stayed at Sheffield. Sheffield fans are probably disappointed about that, but they obviously feel that they've got a stronger squad with the team they've got now. The Sheffield team being Craig Cook, surprise signing perhaps for some. Adam Ellis returns along with Jack Holder and Kyle Howarth. Connor Mountain made a couple of guest appearances for them at the end of the season in the playoffs. Tobias Musilak, who used to ride for Wolverhampton and Swindon, won the title with Swindon. And Stefan Nielsen, who performed well for them last year. He's in 7th rider, and the number 8 will be Dan Thompson, one of the Thompson twins from Leicester. Sheffield fans seem quite pleased with that team. Looks a reasonably strong team, probably better than the Kings Lynn team. And probably, I don't know about Ipswich because they've got lots of experience there when you look at King Batchelor, Riss and Doyle. Even Paul Stark's got quite a bit of experience, and Cameron Heaps even, can't even say his name. Anders Rowe's the least experienced, but he's still making progress. Hopefully he went a little bit backwards towards the end of last season, but he generally looks like a good up-and-coming rider. So yeah, Sheffield, I won't say Kings Lynn are compact. Now we'll come to Peterborough, who've retained the majority of Dad's Army. The 6 riders they had last year, with the exception of Biara Pedersen, who's retired. He's been replaced by Danish youngster Benjamin Basso, who had good performances towards the end of the season last year for Poole. But they've still got Hans Anderson, Chris Harris, Scott Nichols, Ulrich Ostergaard, Jordan Palin, Michael Palmtoft. Very underrated rider, Michael Palmtoft. So they'll be confident of doing well again and retaining the title. We don't know, like say, Bellevue or Wolves' final squads yet, but it's all shaping up nicely coming up to 2022. So I'll keep you up to date with any further announcements next week. Okay, and then we're just going to finish this week by having a look at what's going on in the world of NFL. Pete will be happy because the Patriots are on a really good run at the moment. They're top of the AFC East at the moment. They've got a win to loss ratio of 8-4. They've won 6 games in a row and good form in that division. The Bills are performing well. They've won 7-4. So they're doing okay as well. In the AFC West, the Chiefs have gone on a streak now. They've won 4 in a row. They're 7-4, and the Chargers 6-5, Raiders 6-5, and Broncos 6-5. So all the teams in that division are doing well. Actually, AFC North, Ravens 8-3. Bengals having a good season, 7-4. They've both won the last 2 matches. And in the AFC South, we've got the Titans 8-4. And that's about it really. The Colts are 6-6, so not so great in the South. Now we look at the NFC, and in the NFC the Cowboys are doing well, 8-4 record. The Washington FC have won 5 but lost 6, but they've won 3 in a row now, so they're sort of getting themselves into contention really in that division. The Cardinals have probably got the best record. In fact, must have the best record. They've got 9-2. They did lose a couple of weeks ago, but they won the last match. The Rams are 7-4. They've lost 3 in a row though, so they're on a poor run. The 49ers are now picking up. They've won 3 in a row and they're 6-5. NFC North, the Packers have started pushing the Cardinals a little bit. They've got a record of 9-3. And in the NFC South, the Bucks, the champions, 8 lost 3 so far. They've won the last couple as well. So they're the contenders at the moment. Coming into week 13, I think it is this week, yeah. And the fixtures this weekend, we've already got a result from last night. The Cowboys beat the Saints by 27 points to 17 in the early hours of this morning UK time. This Sunday, the Texans take on the Colts, the Lions take on the Vikings, the Dolphins play the Giants, Falcons against Buccaneers, Jets and Eagles, Bears and Cardinals, that'll be an interesting one. Bengals, Chargers, again another interesting one there. Rams and Jags, Raiders against Washington, Steelers against the Ravens, Seahawks against 49ers. We've got the Chiefs against the Broncos, another interesting tussle there. And we've got the Bills against the Patriots. That's the Monday night football. The Chiefs and Broncos are the late game on Sunday, and like I say, the Bills and Patriots is the Monday night football in the USA. So something to keep your eye out there. So that's what's going down in the world of NFL at the moment. We're getting to the real sharp end of the season now. We've got 3 or 4 weeks to go till we start to get to the playoffs at the end of December, start of January. So it's heating up, and I'm sure my friends that follow the NFL will be keeping an eye very close on what's going on this weekend, and their teams vie for positions in the playoffs. I'll keep you up to date on that as well. So I think that's just about all that I want to cover this week. I think that's about it. So I hope you've enjoyed watching as always. I've enjoyed putting it together as usual. Any comments, anything you want to point out, anything you'd like to see added, just let me know and I'll do what I can to try and include it. So until next week, it's goodbye from me. I hope you've enjoyed it. Have a nice week. Bye for now.